Hi everybody, this is Steve Ludwig, host of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture and the Beatles Hour with Steve Ludwig at planetludwig.com. Here's an interview we did with Linda Clifford on November 12th, 2013. It's from show number 15. To hear the entire show, check out the menu at planetludwig.com. And now, please enjoy the interview. And we have just listened to that wonderful medley from our first guest, vocalist, songwriter, performer, actress, certainly one of the most beloved R&B singers of our generation, Miss Linda Clifford. Welcome to the show, Miss Clifford.
Thank you so much, Steve. What a lovely introduction.
Well, it was easy when I have those kind of songs to work with.
All right. Those were the days, huh?
We had some of a couple of your relatively newer songs in there. We had Philly Groove, which I think.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we had Philly Groove in that, and Changin' was in the medley. So.
Okay. So y'all are keeping up on top of everything then.
Well, I'm trying. You have such a wonderful storied career. We just finished the medley, Miss Clifford, with Between You and Me, Baby, that and the duet you did with Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah.
Why don't we start there? What are your memories of working with Mr. Mayfield?
Oh, wow. I have, honestly, I have really wonderful memories of Curtis. He was just so soft-spoken and sweet and kind. Just a very mellow, generous guy, and a lot of fun all at the same time, and of course, extremely talented. So I have great memories of him, of being on the road. We traveled together and performed together. It was always great working with him.
Oh, my goodness.
So
what a beautiful...
we lost a great one.
Yeah, well, what a beautiful blend of voices when you two got together.
Thank you.
Looking at the gallery on your website, which everyone, by the way, is thelindaclifford.com. Looking at the gallery, it's no surprise, but you are a former Miss New York State in the Miss USA pageant.
Oh boy, yeah. That was a few years ago.
Well, listen. I'm leading up to something, actually. Yes. What do you remember
that
from
happened, and it was not as much fun as I had hoped it was going to be. It started out as a dare. You know how, your friends will dare you to do something really silly, and that's Absolutely. How that came about. A girlfriend dared me to enter this pageant, and, I did it. And unfortunately, I wasn't thinking, because when you enter, something like that, if you win, you have to continue. Mm-hmm. So, it started out as Miss Brooklyn Teenager and then went to Miss Brooklyn and so on and so forth until I was, on the stage at the Miss USA pageant. And, it was just kind of a shock that whole thing happened. I think my parents were shocked. I was shocked. I'm like, I won?
Come on, you're being way too humble, Linda, really.
No, well, thank you so much. But it really was something very different for me, and I really didn't expect to win. But, hey, stranger things have happened, I guess.
Yes, sure. We're going to talk about your music career in a second, but you are currently, or you're an instructor at Roosevelt University's Music Conservatory.
Right.
You teach different things. You're a stage presence coach and teaching public performance. I was wondering, maybe even starting from your Miss New York State pageant, what do you tell your students about overcoming maybe shyness or nervousness? Does that still happen to you, by the way?
Actually it does. I still get nervous before each performance, and everybody, I think, has their own ritual, that they perform. And for me, I pace, and I just pace back and forth. I say a little prayer before I go up, and then I just pace, until they say my name. Once I'm on stage, though, and I see the audience, I'm good. It's like, okay, I'm here now, and y'all are there, and we're going to have a party.
You probably wish you
So
could just snap your finger and be there, right?
exactly. I think
Yeah.
more than anything, it's the waiting. Once you're ready to go, you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And standing on the side of the stage and waiting for whatever is going on, you start pacing, and sometimes you might even doubt yourself or doubt the songs that you've selected to do in your show, and that kind of thing. But basically, once I get on stage, I'm happy. That's where I like to be.
Well, as many of our listeners know, and certainly your fans, your songs have spent 60 weeks at number one on the Billboard dance charts. And by the way, how are you with I really think of you certainly more of an R&B singer than disco. How are you with a disco type of label? I think of it more as dance music, really.
Well, you know what? I think that's kind of a misconception, only because, to me, disco and dance music are one and the same.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
It's one and the same. I think disco has evolved into somewhat of a different format. They've taken a few things and they've changed a few things here and there, but actually it's nothing more than dance music. They're the same. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, I can remember, going to clubs back in New York before the word disco ever came out. And there were clubs in New York that somebody just came in and played records, and they were generally Motown. It was the Temps, the Four Tops, the Supremes, that kind of thing. And you just went in and danced. There was no special DJ, no special performance, just a big room where everybody could go dance. Mm-hmm. And so that evolved into disco, and then disco into what they're calling dance music. But really, in my eyes, it's just something that makes you feel good. Music is very healing, I think, for the soul.
Oh, my goodness. I couldn't agree more. I've spoken with past guests, as a matter of fact, and dance/disco music, to me anyway, I don't see much of a difference between dance music and R&B, except that the dance music is R&B with maybe more of a beat. Is that accurate in your mind?
I think it's more of a bass drum beat. It's got that mm-hmm. heavy bass drum, consistent thud. And then R&B tends to be a little bit more laid back. And also, I think R&B is very much connected to country. Because those two genres, if you think about it, they tend to tell a story.
Absolutely.
The R&B and the country. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, those two tend to be like distant cousins, so to speak.
Yeah, well, hey, Ray Charles had his country album, didn't he?
Okay, seriously.
Right?
I mean, yeah. So if people really sit back and think and study, the different areas that music has turned and gone, and all the, it's like a maze. Mm-hmm. But all of it's connected.
And there's a lot of gray area in there, right, between genres.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I loved your section in the great book, by the way, First Ladies of Disco by James Arena. I really loved your whole section in that book. There's an interesting story about If My Friends Could See Me Now, how you were maybe a little skeptical at first about covering that song. Could you tell us that story?
I was very skeptical, only because I had, at one point in my life, while I was still living in New York, I was doing some film work. And, I started out doing what most young actresses do. You're an understudy, or you're oh gosh, what do they call them? I can't remember now. But you just kind of sit around on the bus all day and wait till somebody calls you, and you stand in a crowd, that kind of thing.
It sounds like many actors, just an actress.
Yeah. So I worked on the movie with Shirley MacLaine for 2 weeks, and sort of in that capacity. And it was far from being a disco or a dance type movie. That was strictly the Broadway musical.
We're talking about Sweet Charity, of course.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. Mm-hmm. And then someone came to me from the record company and said, I have a great idea for a song. You need to do this cut. And it's If My Friends Could See Me Now. And I thought, If My Friends Could See Me Now from the musical? Then you can't do that. That's sacrilege. You can't take a Broadway show tune and turn it into... And so I was very much against it. And they knew at the record company, they said, she's nuts. We're going to do this track, and then we'll let her hear it again. And sure enough, I heard that track, and I said, oh, my God, this is my song. I have to do it. It was just the song that touched every chord in your body. And I think everyone who listens to it, you know, we've all got somebody that you want to say, hello, look at me now.
Mm-hmm. It's iconic.
Come on.
The song is so iconic. You know, I must tell you, Miss Clifford, my dad was a plumber as well.
Oh, my goodness, really?
Yeah, and do you think you got your work ethic or part of it from your dad? I mean, my dad used to come home aching, but he'd get up every day early to go back to work. Do you think maybe some of your work ethic came from your dad?
I don't doubt that for a second. My dad went through the same thing. He would ache, and he would come home late, get up early, leave early in the morning. And yes, I mean, I watched that. And the same with my mom. My mom worked, and they were up and out. But, you know, things are so different now. As early as they would have to leave, they would get up and they would make a hot breakfast for us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You have a hot breakfast, you take your vitamins before you go to school, and you're clean, you're all that stuff. And so unfortunately, that type of family life, a lot of that has fallen by the wayside, and it's really sad because that's kind of how I raised my kids, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, no. It's important. We're going to sit down at the dinner table together, and we're going to talk about all the stuff that happened to us today. Everybody. We're talking.
Seems to be the exception to the rule, sure.
Yeah, and I think that that family life, that contact, you know, is kind of missing from what's going on out there today. And it's really sad because it's a beautiful part of life.
As a matter of fact, you even, pretty much at the peak of your career, you've always put family first. You took a little break, didn't you, to kind of raise? I mean, I give you so much credit for that, but obviously that's so important to you.
Well, yeah, I did. As much as I, wanted my career to be successful, I mean, I've always wanted to sing. I knew what I wanted to do from a young age, and I got the opportunity to tour and to do that. But when it was time for my children to come along, I chose to stay at home and raise them. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do the whole nanny thing. I just felt that it was important for me to instill my values, not the values that maybe someone else might have grown up with. I wanted them to know their history, to know their mom.
Yeah,
and
passed down from your parents, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So when they got off that school bus every day, I was standing there on the corner waiting.
Mm-hmm. For them. That's so wonderful to hear. It's missing so much today.
It is, and it's very sad. But that made me happy, and I think it made them happy, knowing that there was going to be somebody here for them.
Oh my goodness, I can't see how it wouldn't make them happy. We're talking about your work ethic. There's another wonderful story in the First Ladies of Disco book about. Do you remember the in Anchorage, Alaska, the story you shared?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! You talk about the show must go on. Could you relay that to our listeners? Oh
gosh, sure. That's probably one of the most frightening stories that has happened. But I had pneumonia, and we arrived. We had been in Medford, Oregon, I think, a week before, and the weather was absolutely terrible. They had a horrible storm. There was no power in the hotel, no heat, nothing. Well, of course, I got sick. Singers, first thing to go is your throat when things go bad.
What a nightmare.
And by the time I arrived in Anchorage, I had pneumonia. And I was, seriously, I don't think I've ever been that sick. I was running a temperature and the whole bit, and I would pass out. I was just so weak. And so, because I was the only singer in the band, if I didn't go on, then the band didn't get paid. So what we did was we came up with this plan, and we got a bar stool and put it in the center of the stage, and I sat there each set, and the band would tie like this rope around my waist and tie me to the chair. So that,
oh, my word.
yeah, so that if I passed out, I wouldn't fall and hit my head. I would just be in the chair. And I sang that way 6 nights a week. I mean, in between, I was getting treatment. I found a doctor, was taking medication, but that's how I had to work. And, that's that old school, the show must go on, you don't miss a performance. I mean, that's how I grew up. It's like, you're booked, you're working.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, some of the guys had wives and kids at home, and all I could think was, oh my God, they need to send this money home. I have to work, and so, I can't let them down. So that's what I did.
Your mom and dad wouldn't have approved otherwise. I mean, and I'm being serious, right? You have that in the back of your mind.
Absolutely.
Right?
They would be like, what are you doing? You don't have time to be sick. Get up.
What do you think of shows like American Idol? One singer said recently about it that he isn't too crazy about it because you don't really pay your dues anymore. You think that's how it is. You just get put on. Is there a gray area with you with American Idol? What do you think of shows like that?
Well,
I know you're a fan of The Voice.
Honestly, I have to say I tend to agree with whoever it is.
Yeah, David Grohl from the Foo Fighters. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I think he's right. The young performers that are out there today. I mean, oh my God, I sound like my grandmother, but they they really don't. They don't pay their dues, and that doesn't mean that I'm envious or that I want them to struggle. But what I want them to do is get the experience and learn how to be a professional, because a lot of them don't. They don't know what it means to be a pro. You don't show up 2 hours late when your audience is sitting there waiting for you. They're the reason you're where you are. You don't disrespect them like that. Yeah. Or you don't not show up at all. I mean, who do you think you are?
Yeah. There are some rock performers, which will go unnamed, but I think they think that's part of their act, that it's not cool unless they make the audience wait. It's just, I can't imagine it. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. They seem to think that they have everything coming to them. It's I don't know. It's a generation of I deserve this. Not that I earned it, but I deserve it just for being here. And I think that's very wrong. I just think that people need time to learn their craft. They need time to experience all the things that are going to be out there. When they do go on the road. I mean, and even with the work that I did, traveling in the Catskill Mountains and around the country with different groups, there were still things that I was not prepared for. I had never been to certain areas of the South where racism was so prevalent, and coming from New York, I was like, what'd you say to me?
You're a Bed-Stuy girl, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh no, this is not happening. You are definitely talking to the wrong person right now.
What years are we talking about when you experienced this terrible racism?
This was early
70s, 80s, 70s?
Early 70s. Listen, there are areas you can go to right now, and it'll be the same. I've gone into restaurants where people refuse to serve me.
Still?
When I was on the tour.
Oh, my goodness.
When I was touring with the biggest record in the country, I was refused food service. So
that's almost unbelievable.
you know, people hear that and they go, "Oh, come on, in this day and age." Yeah, in this day and age, it's very sad. It's unfortunate that it happens, but you know, it's another life lesson. It's another life lesson. And the thing about it is, at this point, when something like that happens, you have to make the choice. Do I hate, or do I just take this as a lesson and move on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think, you know, I personally, you know, it was a lesson. I'm like, okay, so I know I'm not going to hang out here in Arkansas or wherever it happened to be.
Yeah,
so,
they're wrong, right? They're wrong, and that's their problem.
Exactly. You all go ahead and live your life the way you choose, and I'm going to go over here. So,
as if I need to tell our listeners, but I'd like to run down just a part of a list of all your wonderful accomplishments. Like I said earlier, you had 60 weeks at #1 on Billboard's dance charts with your songs. You had Grammy Award nominations, American Music Award nominations. Cher, Gladys Knight, among others, have come to you for songs. Of course, you were in the Oscar-winning motion picture soundtrack Fame with Red Light. What is this is such a tough question, I suppose. What's one of the highlights? I'm guessing American Bandstand.
You know, I think you knew that already.
I read the book, yes, of course.
You did read the book.
How was that for a lead-in, answering the question for you?
Listen, I'll tell you something. It's definitely the highlight, I have to say, was American Bandstand. Talking to Dick Clark, being able to call him a friend was just enormous. But the very first time I did American Bandstand, because I grew up, you know, as a little kid in Brooklyn watching American Bandstand. When that show came on and everybody was dancing, you know, I was in my pajamas in my living room dancing with them. I just get.
I remember running home from school to watch it. Yeah, sure.
Of course it was. It was great, and so, you know, with the success of the first album, you know, Dick Clark reached out to us to have me on the show, and I thought, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And sure enough, you know, I do the show, and he comes over to interview me, and he asked me that question. He said, you know, and I had done quite a few things at that point because of the success of the album, and he asked me what was the highlight so far, and I said, this is it. This right here.
Sure.
I mean, and I started to cry. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't believe I was standing next to Dick Clark. I grew up with him.
Yes. What was he like as a person? I mean,
he was the nicest man. You know, all the stories that you hear about him, about how sweet he was, how genuine and just down to earth, they're all true. He was that guy. And he invited me to present awards on different shows for him, the American Music Awards. And then, of course, I was nominated, which was great. I mean, I loved that fact, you know, without a doubt.
As best new artist.
You know, we got to see each other quite a bit over the years. And I just adored him. I really did.
Sorely missed.
A great guy.
You were in Rosemary's Baby. Boston Strangler. You have to tell me, what part did you play in Rosemary's Baby? What was your role?
I was the baby. No, I'm kidding. Every time somebody asks me that question, that's the answer I give. So
I see it in your eyes, in your pictures. I can see it in your eyes.
Yes, I was the baby. Okay, no. I was an extra on that film. So I did, I portrayed, at one point I was a nurse, I was a receptionist. What else did I do in that movie? I was in a party scene. So quite a bit, actually. But no, I didn't work on that one as much as I worked on the Boston Strangler, which, you know, that was another one that I got to work on. I got to be dead underneath a sheet. That was very exciting.
Yeah. Well, I think didn't Kevin Costner start out that way? And oh my gosh, I can't even remember the
Oh
name.
my God, I think you're right.
He played the corpse, and I can't even think of
I
the movie
seem
now.
to remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even
But
think it's one of his
Kevin
face.
pursued it, I think, a lot further than I did.
But he can't sing a tenth as great as you can, Linda.
Oh, thank you.
What was it
Thank
like
you.
hosting Midnight Special?
Oh, that was awesome. I loved doing Midnight Special. They could have called me once a week, and I would have done that show.
I used to love watching
First of
that.
all, Wolfman Jack, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure this generation, they probably don't remember him, but he was such a nice guy and funny and incredible. And he was the regular host on that show
Sure.
for
Yep.
years. And I appeared on the show with my band and background singers, and the production crew just kind of fell in love with us. They said, "Wow, you guys, you sound great, you look great, you're so professional." And then the next thing I knew, they were calling me back to co-host with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took some time off, and they asked me if I would come back and do it on my own. So I loved it. I loved doing that kind of thing, and asking people questions and talking. Obviously, I'm a talker, but
Well, I appreciate that. That's for sure.
oh, good. I'm glad. But it was great. It was wonderful doing that show, and then Rock Concert was another one.
Don Kirshner. Yeah, sure.
Don Kirshner's Rock Concert, sure. So, those shows. It's a shame they don't have stuff like that anymore.
I know.
You say, the idol shows. I think they tend to, when it gets right down to it, they tend to be more of a popularity contest than than about talent.
Oh, I agree. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think that, obviously they've overlooked some tremendous talent in the past. They've let them go and kept people who you can't even remember their names now.
Yeah. I don't think Clay Aiken won, if I recall. He wasn't the winner of
Clay
it.
Aiken, no,
he's a
in
name
second.
though. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but he kept his career going. He had good management. He got out there. In fact, I worked with Clay. Oh gosh, it's been a few years, but we did an event for McDonald's House. They do their charity, and they take care of children who are ill, their parents and family members and that kind of thing. And so we did an event for them, and we got to sing together. So, again, very nice and extremely talented.
Mm-hmm. You do quite a bit of charity work, don't you?
I do. I feel that
that's
it's
wonderful.
important to give back, and not only to give back, but I've been very blessed in my life, and trust me, I've had my times when things were not so great, but I have a wonderful family. I have a loving husband, and there are a lot of people who don't have that. They don't have family. They don't have people to care about them, and I feel like, if I can offer that to somebody, if I can help in some way, then I want to do it.
That's really beautiful.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I just, that's my little thing. I try to help out as much as I can.
Well, I want to let our listeners know, first of all, there's thelindaclifford.com. Do you want to give your Facebook page? Or shall I have
sure,
it written down?
Yeah, they can contact me on Facebook, and it's just Linda Clifford. And
you have a Twitter
I'll
account.
tell you something.
Yes.
I do write back to my Facebook fans.
Oh, that's so important to fans. It really is.
I
That's
do.
great to
You know
hear.
what? It really is. People write to me, and I'm sure they don't expect it. But then I just, we have these conversations, and heaven forbid they should be on Facebook on Sunday when the Chicago Bears are playing, because I go nuts. I do my own game commentary on the situation. So, oh yeah. It's pretty funny. My husband's like, "Would you please stop? You're embarrassing yourself."
No, you're kidding. The fans, I'm sure they appreciate it to no end.
They love it, and they write back to me, and it's lots of fun. So, I do enjoy my fans, and I appreciate them so much. And I want them to know that, so I do keep in touch.
And you have a Twitter account.
I do, but I'm not very good at it.
Okay. And you only have 140 characters to answer a question, too.
I know. I'm just not good at the whole Twitter thing. I don't know when you're supposed to hashtag and when you're supposed to do a... it's got all these symbols and stuff, and my kids, who are my young adults, I should say, they set this whole thing up for me, and they said, you have to have a Twitter account because it's huge now, and people want to talk to you, and you should do it. So they set this thing up, and then they left. And so I'm like, okay, great. And so I'll tweet something, and then the phone will ring, and my daughter will say, Mom, you didn't hashtag the thing, and you have to put it over. And I'm like, okay, fine. But
okay, I'm done with
one day I'll learn it.
Well, I want to tell all our listeners, you have the website, thelindaclifford.com. I love browsing through your website. There's so much. You have a great store, a lot of great merch for everyone.
Thank you.
And I really urge all our listeners to check out the website. And Ms. Clifford, I really can't thank you enough. It's been a delight talking to you, and I appreciate so much you coming on the show and speaking with us.
Well, I just loved it, and thank you so much for having me on. I'm so glad you read the book and you like it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Good,
and James
good.
Is a great
I hope
guy.
we get to speak again.
That would be my pleasure. I hope that also.